So this story has two parts: the discussion with the Pharisee in relation to the law, and the discussion with the Pharisees in relation to the Son of David, the Messiah. They're easy to learn. The first one is, the two commandments. You shall love the Lord your God, the Shema, and this is the greatest. So the verbal thread of his question, which commandment in the law is the greatest, Jesus then answers by saying the commandment and then saying this is the greatest and the first commandment. And then the second is like it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. And the conclusion of it then is, on these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. So it's a very simple, clear pronouncement story. The second one, what do you think about the Messiah and the Son of David? He then pursues the question, how can he be his son? So if you just think through the logic of what it is that Jesus is saying, it too is easy to remember. However, the logic of this is Jesus as an exegete. And that's what makes this story hard to learn, is that it's confusing because we don't do exegesis that way. What Jesus is saying is that an understanding of the Psalm 118, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet, it's introduced by the phrase, the Lord said to my Lord. Now, the Lord is God. My Lord is given a messianic interpretation. That is, that David was talking about the Messiah, my Lord. So God said to the Messiah would be a way of translating what it is that that Jesus is reading into the psalm. And that was a normal way of reading the Psalms in relation to that the traditions of the past in Jesus' time. So what Jesus has identified is a contradiction, that on the one hand, David talks about his son as being an anointed one, that is, one who would reestablish the kingdom of David, and on the other hand, of calling my Lord, that is, the Messiah, his Lord, and therefore he couldn't be his son. No father would ever call his son my Lord. So that was simply out of the question. And they saw the problem, but didn't know how to resolve it either. Now, another dimension of what's going on in this saying is that Matthew, and assuming that this is a statement of Jesus, Jesus also was distinguishing between the Messiah and the Son of David. That is, that the Messiah did not have to be a son of David, one who was going to be king and reestablish the kingdom of David and be a general and lead the armies of Israel in warfare. So this is also then Matthew's distinguishing Jesus as Messiah from the Son of David tradition as the normative framework for the understanding of the Messiah. In regard to the first story, there were many commandments, 612 that can be specifically identified. So it's a tough question. Which of the 600 or so is the greatest and the most important? Jesus answers it without any hesitation and quotes the Shema. Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind. And the second one is from Leviticus, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. So Jesus identifies these very quickly, which shows his degree of mastery of the law. And so the way to tell this is simply with complete confidence and simply naming it straight. And then in the second part of his posing this question to the Pharisees, which they couldn't answer. The final result was that after all these tests that Jesus had been through in the temple, people didn't they didn't ask him any more questions because they figured out that he was very sharp.